God, from the top to the bottom, Lord, like only you can, Lord. And I just ask that you just help us tonight to make the decisions for the best interest of the town. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Things are the. All right, we're going to call this workshop to order. It's a joint workshop between the town and our council and the zoning board discussing make recommendations for Day Springs Common Plan Unit Development Project, a mixed-use development to be constructed and operated by Dayspring Health LLC, located at Orange Street and West 6th Street. Where do you want to start, Mr.? You'll go ahead, Mr. Atkins, you'll go ahead and.
Or Janice.
Or Janice.
I just want we've been talking, I've been working with Mr. Atkins. We had a very Zoom call because I think we met initially. They have purchased some property that they would like to develop with kind of a mixed-use development, I guess you could say, for institutional uses. We did make, when we did the comp plan, we created a category, but we did not designate that property for mixed use for the institutional use. So we would have to go through a land use change, and a PUD zoning is what we recommended, talking to them just because of the variety of uses that he is proposing to be done. On top of it, there are some road closures on the PUD that you would have to go through. So, which we've got to go through that process, and the biggest concern obviously will be, and I've discussed with Mr. Atkins, we cannot close any roads that are going to deny access to the people. So he understands that. But anyway, we thought it would be a good, and going back and forth, just because of the uniqueness of this project, that it would be a good idea for Mr. Atkins to come to the board, to the council, and to the planning board, just kind of give them an update, and then he's got to make some amendments to the PUD that how we talked about it, and this way, and kind of some of the other ones we've done. And if you have any comments or concerns, he'll know them up front. If there's a way for him to address it in his PUD, he can do it. As you know, the one that we just completed with Whisper Ridge, PUD. What happens is when the council adopts it from a recommendation planning and zoning board, the written description describing the project as well as the site plan are part of the actual PUD ordinance. So we got to make sure we like what we get. And that's what it's saying. It's kind of a negotiated zoning PUD, whether it's good or bad. That's how it ends up doing. You're allowed to ask for things, and he can either do it or not. You basically have to council have the ultimate control, saying, no, we're doing this, and he either accepts it or he doesn't. So we don't want, hopefully we don't get to that point. So he's going to go over the project, and if you have concerns of things that you think need to be included in it, this is your time to tell them. Because nothing's official, no action will be taken, it's just for information.
Now, is this the first time the zoning board's hearing this as well?
Yes. Yes, it is the formal it is not, the application is submitted, but it wasn't, there were some issues that I brought up in my initial review, so it didn't go anywhere. And one of the things that Lisa and I have talked about is until it gets to the point that we feel is completed, any applications, we had some the last time that we thought were going to come up, and we advertised it, and it didn't, it's not fair to the public for them to come out for a meeting when it's not ready. So from now on, before we're advertised, we need to make sure that from staff perspective, that all our questions have been answered. So anyways, that's why we're here now. We thought it'd be a good idea for the council to hear what, and the PNC to hear just the concept and what he wants, and then you can answer something. So I know he has a presentation.
All right, Mr. Atkins.
And we have some in the folder. There are some copies of the plan that we can share, as well as on your iPad and the PowerPoint you'll have. The little data block included in your iPad. So PowerPoint not now, but if you have
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and it's great to see all of you. And town continues to thrive and do well. I've been here for 30 company, Dayspring Health we are the owners of both Dayspring Village as well as Dayspring Senior Living. We have been here, I don't know quite honestly how to operate your, I guess I just moved there we go. How about that? So Dayspring Village and Dayspring Health has been here since 1987, just to give you an idea of a little bit about our past history. We have, and then in 2016, we constructed and built the first building at Dayspring Senior Living on a 36-acre parcel there in the county. And we just, in 2021, we opened the second building there. So that is now a 64-bed assisted living facility, a limited nursing services facility, and that is quickly approaching full occupancy. And of course, Dayspring is a growing player in the Hilliard economy. So we're investing in Hilliard. We believe in Hilliard. We think Hilliard's a great community. It's a growing community, and we think this is the right place for healthcare. In fact, when the county asked me, said, well, why are you building out in Hilliard? I said, well, it's quite, I said, quite frankly, I said, why does it matter why I'm building in Hilliard? I said, that's where I want to build at. That's where my business is at. And I said, this is the third highest location in Nassau County. You don't have to evacuate. So anybody who's going to be spending millions of dollars constructing senior housing, this is where I want to build because I don't have to evacuate. Under a Category 5 hurricane, I don't have to evacuate. That's just what the facts are. This is the third highest location in Florida at 90 feet above sea level. Economically, we're now over 55 employees employed right here in this area. We're contributing about $130,000 a month in payroll to this local economy. So we're here, we're staying, we're not going anywhere. We're a part of this community, and we have been a part of this community, and we contribute to this community every single month. A lot of us, who are here locally, we're just out there, and we don't come every single day. You don't see a lot of us every single day, but we're here and we're part of this community. And we want to make a difference. So we contribute to the community in a number of ways. We do cookouts, we do live concerts in our park. We've held vaccination clinics for the community. We've done all of our residents, all of our staff, 100% vaccination, 100% vaccination out there at both of our properties. We've been very strongly fighting COVID-19. That's been a very big initiative of ours. So, but embracing the future moving forward, housing, is going to continue to be an initiative both for people with disabilities, for seniors, and for workforce housing. Those are three focuses that our company has. People with disabilities, it's a growing population, housing for seniors, and workforce housing. So I want you to keep those three topics in mind as we're going through this. I acquired Michael Franklin's remaining 2 lots in that area. So I think we're 5 acres in that area. So we control all of those lots. But we think this is the ideal location in the town of Hilliard to start to look at developing a integrated campus that's going to be an absolutely, brand new multi-million-dollar campus that's going to really make an investment into this community. So Dayspring Commons is the first leg of this. And again, as part of the PUD, we're not quite sure which direction this all goes. So it's really dependent on the funding streams, the market mechanisms. We know that the lenders are quite, they're standing by, ready to go. We know the contractor's ready to go. The architect is, ready to go. It's a matter of where we connect the revenue streams and how we make this work, and where we line up as a community. And quite frankly, I'm not interested in things that are not going to succeed. I want to make sure everybody can be successful. I have to make sure that the project can be successful. It has to be successful for the people that reside there. It has to be successful for the community. It has to be successful all the way around. So licensed residential treatment facilities are licensed administration. That is the state agency in Florida that licenses nursing homes, assisted living facilities. They license hospitals. They license all types of facilities in Florida. They are inspected and licensed in that way. So, Day Spring Commons contemplates supportive housing, dorm-like living units, community common areas, kitchen, dining, cafeteria type areas, actually a cafe, exercise facility, computer areas, 24-hour surveillance, 24-hour staffing, lighting, all of those kinds of features, and security cameras. The Day Spring Loft is what we term this aspect of it. And again, this is, we're seeking permission to do these kinds of things if one seems to work better than the other. Day Spring Loft is sort of focused on workforce housing. So there's kind of two versions of this. One is a stackable building, which is a first and second floor building, much like, I think we have an apartment complex, so it's kind of, first and second floor, but a stackable building. And then the second version of this is an unstackable version where it's all first floor buildings, dorm-like living units. So, co-housing is a big movement in the United States. I don't know if some of you have been paying attention to where rental prices have gone, rental housing, but certainly cost of accessing affordable housing and rental housing has absolutely gone through the roof. So having affordable workforce housing has become extraordinarily expensive, and having places where single moms and single individuals who are trying to get ahead in their budget to live and get into the workforce, that becomes difficult, particularly as rents are going to be continuing to escalate over the next few years, particularly in an inflationary economy. So controlling that, managing that, and providing good quality housing starts with looking at how do you incorporate co-housing principles and how do you bring housing into a line with the emerging market trends. So, this also contemplates some retail space in that area. So you would have some retail space on the second floor. You would have a childcare facility located there. You would have some laundry facilities there. You would have some 2-bedroom apartments there. There's potentially an integrated campus that would contemplate supportive housing on one end and workforce housing on the other. So what are we requesting? This is all permission-driven requests. So permission to construct a state-licensed residential treatment facility level 2. There's 3 levels. Level 1 is a secured locked facility. Level 2 is a programmatic type facility. And level 3 is essentially apartment type programming type of environment. Permission to construct single-room apartment type buildings, to construct co-housing living arrangements. Permission to provide commercial rental space. Permission that the town abandon the right-of-ways. There's 2 right-of-ways. One intersects from 6th Street and cuts through into what is essentially now wetlands. All right, we had the wetland guy go out there, and essentially the right-of-way I'm asking you to abandon is essentially wetlands. So there's nothing really you probably should do with it. And if you're going to encroach, if you're going to go pave that area, you'd have wetland mitigation ahead of you. But there's really nothing to do with it. There's nothing I could do with it. There's nothing anybody could do with it. And the other one just sort of dead ends into my property. The permission to improve 6th Street. 6th Street would be, in our view, the main entrance into this project. It's a gravel road right now. We would like to work with the city to improve that, make it a really nice entrance into the area, to put in the sidewalks and to try to make sure that that's improved to a acceptable standard. We feel like that could be, and that's the entrance in which fire rescue and ambulance and police and other types of delivery trucks and that's where the traffic would come. We're not interested in working with Orange Street whatsoever. We think that's a long-term city project that should be that's got its own issues, we understand, and certainly we don't have any intent to be engaged with Orange Street. Permission to offer supportive housing for adults with disabilities, permission to erect signage, permission to erect workforce housing aimed at workforce people with work. And that's a big issue. We've got to recognize, I think it's broadly recognized throughout the county, that's a growing problem, a growing crisis. And quite frankly, I think we can solve that problem over here. Those of us who are familiar with housing, those of us who've done housing, those of us who are in this housing space, those of us who've studied it and understand it and know how to get there, I think, can do this. So these are some of the conceptual drawings. This is a picture that you'll see in front of you. I've passed out copies ahead of you. The large building you see on the left is in a U-shaped form. That is a supportive housing building at the front of it. There is a cafe there. The two wings of it are residential. The building over to the left that's kind of in a V shape, that is the RTF, Residential Treatment Facility, that would be located on that side. This is the second concept of unstacking the two workforce housing projects. So on the right, you would see where the workforce housing would be. Those are the single room occupancy units, the SROs. On the left is where the commercial space and the 2-bedroom apartments would be on that side. And there's some parking spaces there, but most of the parking is there over on the 6th Street side is where that would be. And then this is a more detailed examination of the building itself. You can see kind of how it's scoped out. We've kind of looked at some of the security issues and trying to make sure with, the hallways and the ability to navigate through the building. One of the things that we've constantly looked at is, again, infection control with COVID. We've had to look at, how to manage the traffic flow in terms of security, entry and exit, and things of those natures. This is the first and second floor of the stackable buildings if we went to a 2-floor arrangement. On the right side of the lower image, you will see the child care facility. We think child level workers in healthcare who have child care needs. We're proposing that you go from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week because people who are working the second shift right now cannot get child care. So certainly having access to child care in a unique position of being able to, again, continue to grow its healthcare footprint. The reality is that healthcare is growing in Hilliard. It's a natural, organic place to grow healthcare, and healthcare will continue to expand all on its own because there's a natural fit between what Hilliard is and what healthcare wants. But we have to have the workforce, we have to have the workforce housing, we have to have the assets in order to support the infrastructure and in order to support the kind of investment that we look to attract. So obviously you have to have the child care facilities because, there's a lot of single working moms who are working inside healthcare. And of course, having some child care facilities obviously helps. And if they're working a second shift, having a second shift opportunity like this is beneficial. So I'm sure there's questions, and that's what workshops are about, is talking and exchanging questions and views. And I'd like to open that up, Mr. Chairman.
I have two. One, you talked a lot about healthcare worker housing. Is there going to be a criteria for that, for the people that you rent that to, or is that for your healthcare workers? I'm just trying to be clear on exactly what you're trying to have.
I think, again, certainly projects sort of evolve over time. People congregate in places where there are similar interests. People tend to go live in locations where they align with people with commonality. And so, it's not to say that that's exactly who ends up living there. It's a free.
So they won't have to be.
I think the Federal Fair Housing Act would say you can't exactly do that.
And that's exactly what I was thinking. That's why I was wondering.
Right. I'm not sure you can exactly do that, but reality is that if healthcare workers are coming to the market space, there's people every single day showing up, wanting to come to work at Hilliard, and we need to have a way to provide housing. And unfortunately, housing is growing and increasingly more expensive.
My second question is, if you close Orange Street following through going north, how are the people that are north of you going to get to that piece of property beyond you where they can get there?
Tell me again.
Orange Street, you got it dead end, and now, and us doing away with Orange Street, there's a piece of property just to the north of you but that's their access to get to that piece of property. How would they access it if we closed Orange Street?
So
If you want to pull it back up, I'll show you exactly.
Well,
where-
he's got a little thing where he's coming in off Sixth Street, where he's got the roundabout, but then he's got a proposed, relocate the roadway to go to Orange Street.
But there are houses that are accessed off Sixth Street. Is that what you're saying?
No, there's not any houses. There's just a piece of property there.
This big chunk of property in the back, if he closes Orange Street off, how does that person access the property?
But he said he wasn't doing anything with Orange Street. He said he was wanting to
Well,
vacate
He's
Sixth Street.
closing
So-
it to do what he's doing right
So-
now.
Orange Street- So is there not any other access
Did you see where
points
it's at,
to
Andy?
that
He
property?
can say to that, but
that
Will you
Mr.
put the
Bell?
area
Look up
up?
here at this. I know.
This piece. This piece.
At some point in time, the street's gonna be there. And you gotta have fire and rescue, you gotta keep the place open until it comes through. And I suggest not to close a lot of them. It's already there, that's the only way this individual can get to it from.
And it can't be accessed from River Drive because you've got a small bottom that drains just about the entire town here. From that point, the only access he has to that property is 28 acres is through Orange Street on 6 foot right of way. And it's not gonna be long before he's gonna cut his timber, and log trucks coming down that road. How's he gonna get his timber out of there? How's he gonna replant it back? And also, future development, it'll sell off the houses.
Well, the reality of it is that I have a right to build, have a right to develop the property.
Understand that?
He has a right to his property, and I'm sure that there is an easement associated with the property. I haven't investigated his property. I haven't conducted a review of his property and the easements that he has access to. That certainly is a legal matter, but, certainly we can examine that.
But he also has a right to access his property if he's been landowner since the beginning.
No, he has to build the property, that's it.
That's right.
And he needs to get right away to get it, no other way.
And I'm sure there's probably other easements, but, right, I'm sure of that, Mr. Brock. Don't debate that.
I don't have any problem with what you're doing. I'm gonna block the property. I think we-
And if we have to modify,
Figure your deal and leave that highway open, I don't think it would really be a problem.
okay, so if we have to reconfigure our project in such a manner, then, we'll have a look at trying to reconfigure to avoid the right of way. If that's what I have to do, then, but, I'll certainly look at I'll certainly have a look at the easements surrounding Mr. Bell's property. I don't know what the easements are. If there are,
When you had surveyed, it showed it.
It's also,
They're smarter than that, I know.
well, we'll certainly go through it. It's my understanding there was other easements associated with the property behind us. And, but I don't, I'll go back through that.
I'm sure what Mr. Bell would do is he would accept a 60-foot easement to the west of the property where you've got a high ridge where you can access that property. I'm sure you probably would agree with that.
So what we do know is from US 1, there is an easement coming through the property that I just purchased from Mr. Franklin. And it traverses Mr. Bell's property. And it's adjacent to Mr. Bell's property. And so I'm sure that we can probably work out a method by which he could access his property through that easement from US Highway 1, because that easement is part of the parcel that I just purchased.
A 60-foot.
I'm not quite sure what the size of the easement is.
We got, our land use administrator wants to.
I'm sorry. Pardon me, Mr.
Go
Chairman.
ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to state for the record, one of the discussions that I've had with Mr. Atkins is having to do with closure of right of ways. And we have discussed that, and that would be a process that would be in addition to the PUD, that would run parallel if there are any right of ways that would need to be closed. The other thing I'd like to say, from a planning perspective, we planners don't like an easement. I always say the reason PUDs were created was in order for us to enforce, us being town, the town government, able to enforce improvements. I can, for easements are hard for me to enforce, and it becomes a legal thing that we don't have control of as much. Right away, that's why the PUD, everything's in the PUD and the roads are approved, we can enforce it. We don't like planners, we not like easements of property. We like right away, because easement can be closed, and then we are closed and everything else. So I'm just telling you up front, any access to additional property, if I'm gonna make a recommendation to council to be based on some sort of right of way, that can't be closed, like that. Then they have to control, and an easement, because the problem is, if you give an easement between you and another property owner, the council will lose their control. As long as the right of way, the council has control, so we are closing it as we say. You know, okay, so I'm just putting, as you move forward, access is something that, I know that there's something we have discussed and obviously it's becoming here. So just know that that's something from a planning perspective, my recommendation would be not easement, would be right. That's the council make your decision, but that would be my recommendation.
So the property is located outside the town of Hilliard. And, you know, obviously, Mr. Bell has a right to harvest his trees. But sending log trucks through on a city road, I mean, the condition of Orange Street is what it is.
Well, and it's.
And the impact that traffic would have, I think, would have a exponential impact on, you know, city taxpayers, city property. I think it would be, I think obviously something would have to change in terms of upgrading that road to support that type of traffic or logging outside the city limits to come through that route. If in fact that's the city's desire, that you want to maintain Orange Street as a thoroughfare for that purpose. If that's the goal of the city and that's the objective, certainly I can certainly try to reconfigure the project and come back to you with something that's aligns more suitably with what you would desire, but.
Well, I mean, 1 second, you brought your proposal, talking about the town to abandon a right of way. This isn't a right of way, this is a street. So you want us to abandon a complete street.
There's not a street there.
It's 6th Street that goes through that property.
Right now you have 6th Street that is right now gravel road that is misaligned.
It is considered a right of way, it's not platted all the way back.
And the road that we're talking about is a right of way that is platted through the property, bisects the property in two ways. There is not a road that goes through there. There is in fact some very beautiful, very, very gorgeous old trees that have been there for a long, long time. I mow that area. I pay to have it mowed. I put a picnic table out there so people can enjoy. I know city workers go out there and have their lunch there right now. But, you know, so people can go out there and enjoy that area, much like a recreational green space right now. That's what's happening right now. But the truth is that if you were to send logging trucks through there, then you're going to have to take those trees down. You're going to have to harden that road up. You're going to have to do something to improve the condition of Orange Street. And in order to allow logging operations from county property through the city property, which is a choice, you can do that. And I can try to reconfigure onto my lots what it is that I want to do, but you know, it's going to have a pretty big impact on those roads if you decide to construct them.
That property is not out of the city limits.
That 27 acres is in there.
It's inside? Okay, so it's city property.
And also, Mr. Bill Holland's school had that road just 20 years ago, 1999, that's how you want to do that.
No, so the city owns that, won't keep their own that road for.
So there's a road there?
So the city has to get money on that road.
And there's also a sewer tap there in the city.
Taxpayers' money.
So at any rate, you know, if that's what you decide to do, then you can do that. You know, there's no question that you can do that. But at any rate, you know, I certainly want to develop the area. You know, I want to improve the area. But, you know, if that's, you know, something you don't want to see done, I mean, you just simply have to say, look, you know, we're not interested.
You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see you get with the property owner and y'all see if y'all can't come up with another way in, because I just heard him say there was another way in. from US one
He
maybe?
said he had an easement, but not a right of way. Is that not right, Mr. Atkins? You said you had an easement.
There's an
but not a
easement.
right of way.
There's an easement, but no, I don't think it meets what Ms. Fleet said. Right.
Well, it depends on who owns it. That's, if somebody just gave an easement in there,
No, he bought.
no, he's got an easement to that property.
Oh, you
Do
didn't
you,
buy the
do you
property?
own the easement, or is it something that you have access to the property down that easement? that
I have
somebody-
access to the property down
Yeah,
that
so
easement.
you don't own that easement.
I don't think so.
That's, well, I'm sorry, Janice, go ahead.
No, I just want to also say that it's not uncommon to do redevelopment of a project for PUD or development, whatever you want to call it, that right of ways, which whether they're paved or unpaved or open or unopened, it's not uncommon for you to redirect them to a different way to allow the access or to allow development, bring development, but to still provide access to the property. So just because they're square, they're lined this way, it's not to say that, Mr. Atkins could create a right of way that works for him, and maybe it's not where it is right now, but then it also works for joint property. So they don't need to set, they are set in stone today, but that doesn't mean that they can't change. The U.S. Council, when you were to approve a PUD, whether it's this one or another one, you could say, we're approving the site plan, and it's also for abandoning this right of way because the right of way now is being moved into the PUD. For instance, in the West Bridge PUD, you adopted a site plan that included the streets, which doesn't exist, will be constructed by the developer, but eventually the U.S. Council will So here, it's not uncommon, you've got these platted streets that were platted many years ago. It doesn't work for current development, that it can be reconfigured. Now, obviously, it's a distract to have a right of way that works for him as well as the property. That's what we're going through this process.
And I think that's what Councilman Pickett was saying, but I just wanted to clarify that I didn't think that easement was the answer because he didn't own that, that's all.
Yeah, and I thought you said you did purchase it. So
I purchased the property and whatever came with it, so. Okay.
And know that if you close a right of way to reconfigure it, let's say, if you own both sides of that right of way as part of the closure, you end up owning the right of way. But if then it's replaced with a new right of way, I mean, it could be that kind of thing. If you own two sides of the right of way, it's closed, the property owner on both sides, same owner gets it all. That doesn't mean you could move the right of way to a better location in your property that you end up giving back to the town. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Yeah, so I think I'm getting the sense that this is dead, and I'm getting the sense that we just need to call it a day. So I'm not getting the
I
sense.
don't believe it's dead, but I definitely can't support it if we're gonna landlock his property. If y'all two can come together and give him his access still to his property, because I wouldn't take your property from you either.
I think they just did. So that's okay. That's what happens. So, but the project can be rebuilt. I mean, I can do it somewhere else, but at the end of the day, people get to make choices, and this is a choice. So, from my perspective, I spent a lot of time and money on this, and, here we are.
I don't think anybody's saying you can't move your project. You can go on land. Mr. Evans, we're not trying to.
Hey,
stop you.
that's all right.
All we want to do is we want to have 60-foot be able to access the property over to the west side. Orange Street comes into the middle of it. That's a high second region. You're right, there is. I'm building on that place since what, 50s or 40s. And they've come and gone there. They've already cut 3 cycles of timber out there.
I guess you'll get 10 cycles. Who knows?
But we're not trying to stop it. We just
I think you
wanna-
just
don't wanna
did.
be cutting the property.
Huh?
We just don't want to be cutting the property. We don't have access to it. For our future development, we want to do that.
I guess you got your way.
But that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to reason.
Huh? You could have asked me, but you didn't ask me. So, I think we're where we're at. But the reality of it is that, where are you going to put your easement?
Mr. Atkins, you looking at that area,
Where are you gonna put your building? You know, it's all easy, and it'll be a more reasonable place.
Where am I going to put the buildings at?
Build one,
Well, as I understood it, there was other methods into the property. Shep, I'll just be honest with you. But, you know, if you're telling me this was the only way, I'll have to take your word for it. I'll have to take your word for it. You know a lot more than I do, but at the end of the day, I can only tell you what I was told.
You didn't have anything wrong with the project if you want to get a property where.
Where would he put it at?
On the west side of the block. And we went and looked at it on the roof, there's no, every drive that you access here, I mean, you can walk it with 7 acres. But the only way, there's several ways it can be done. And I studied this, because we're not here to stop. We're trying to.
I think he did, Chad. Chad, I think he did. So that's okay.
Well, no, the man's got a right to the rules, who's
That's
probably
fine.
not, and he has another one.
I think your property's more important than mine.
Well, you can come off of US 1, you can buy that section right there, that time which you enter into it, do something on the west side of it, those are very easily accessible. If those pieces of land can be bought, or you can come up with a plan and you build it over, and put 60-foot access, on this side. And there's ways to work around it, but we just need 60 foot to get that far.
Chad, this smaller one down here that's close that we're actually seeing, where you can actually put your finger up there and kind of show us
No, come on.
No, he's talking about come to this TV
Come
right
around
here.
this other
Chad.
TV.
Come on to this screen.
right there. Now show us what you're talking about.
That's
I'm
Mr.
talking about
Bell.
right here. If you got away with Orange Street, and he can give us somehow or another, move his building over, and give us 60 foot over here, it would be doable. We would be in a whole situation. All we have to be done is either buy this piece or this piece, and I've never even done this thing. Would be this piece, or either I said bring it in this way right here. There's no way to access it on Ruby Drive, because all this down in here is wetlands from this area here on over. And you got a high sand ridge right in here. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. If Mr. Atkins on these 2 lots right here, it could be done to where you can do 60 foot over here, and then he can still do his development. It would
So you
fit.
could do it right there along the west side of those that run
Does that
beside,
make sense to you now?
run parallel.
Like I said, we're not trying to stop the project. We're just trying to stop from, the bank. I mean, this will be worth nothing. If you, that land's just as valuable as this in here. This is a sandy ridge, just like this is. And the oak trees have been there, and yes, but they have all timber right there, for a long time.
Go look at the oak trees.
I know they-
You tell, and I guess, the city can mow those trees down and put that lime rock in and start hauling trucks through there any day of the week you want.
Well,
But
hold on, what if?
Those oak trees are an asset to the city.
Well, what if I wanted to build me a house? Well, say if I wanted to buy this from Mr. Bill, and I want to build me a house in there, and I want to put me a gate there, however, those trees would be nice to get that there.
Those trees are going to have to come out if you're going to run timber through there. I can tell you right now. Those trucks are going to tear those trees out.
Mr. Atkins, you're proposing closing here, correct? What I think he's proposing is you own this property, you could provide access through here, you can move it over. That's what I'm talking about, flipping right away.
The proper place is to come in from US 1 through that easement. And the proper thing to do is for the city to condemn that easement and to bring it in through there, if in fact that access needs to happen. I would give them the access through that back piece. It is substantially more difficult because the lot right behind Glenn's is the property appraiser drove up the value of that lot.
Which one?
So in terms of, the property appraiser drove up the price of that lot above all the other lots this year. Because he said that lot's more valuable than all the other lots. So you're talking about taking the most valuable piece of property in the whole bunch, and the reality of it is that's probably the worst use of that particular strip of land that I could think of. In terms of accessing the road, the weight of the trucks alone, if we improve the 6th Street, you would have that 6th Street just completely torn apart where it would just be useless for me to even try to make it look aesthetically appropriate. So it would just it would just not probably be worth my effort to improve that area. So the more appropriate thing would be is to have log trucks come in off of US 1, which is well suited to the weight of log trucks, and to give him access from US 1 to his parcel. So it's separate and apart from my parcel. And then whatever he decides to do with that is up to him.
Who owns the access from US 1?
I believe that runs alongside the church.
So, I mean.
Or, yeah, I think it runs alongside the church. I'm not quite sure.
CRC Woodland Limited owns some of the property in there.
I believe it runs right off of US 1, and I think that easement runs upside the left side of the church and adjacent to my property.
But
That's
is
where-
there a way for you to come in and you go south like you want them to, but then give them something to change where that road is so that they can access their property? That's what I'm saying. I think it could be done without.
You come in through 6th Street, I think you've destroyed the project, because 6th Street, if you make improvements to 6th Street, it will not support the weight of a fully loaded log truck.
Well, let's not worry about the lot. What I'm saying.
And I certainly would not be willing to invest, money in making improvements to 6th Street
Well,
to do that.
but that's something, if that was and that, I mean, that could be a condition of road closure that it can't be used for,
But then he can't get his logs out. I mean, if he doesn't have a way to get his logs
Well,
out,
I think
that's what this is
I
about.
think he's more worried about future development and financing. Am I correct?
For what, future development and actually log and visitors. This, I mean, it could go both ways.
He wants to get his logs out. If he can't get his logs out, and if he tries to get the logs out, the road becomes,
And right now you can get it out to the back end?
Yes, ma'am, like we have the semi sit there and prove.
Okay, but you're not coming out. Which way do you come out currently?
You can come out, you can actually, if you look really good on that, you can actually see the road that goes into that property. I mean, we got a gate there.
And
I
then
mean-
can you show it on the map so everybody understands?
We access right now, and this is not used very often, but right here, we have a gate here right now. And I'll give you an example. Y'all remember about 3 months ago, power lines, somebody got to pick off power lines down in Hilliard one time? My crew said access and coming this way because we couldn't get out of the driveway.
But on your normal day-to-day logging, how do you come in? I guess?
He would come in right through here. He would come straight in on Orange Street, go straight in between the oaks, and then come on in on this section right here. And that's how Mr. Bill done it. I remember when he cut wood in 1999 and hauled it out.
you're not going to be taking a log truck through those oaks. I'll tell you that right now.
They're obviously not damaged, because they're beautiful now.
You're not going to be taking a log truck without taking those oaks out. City's going to have to take the oaks out, and you're going to have to put in new lime rock. You're going to have to harden that street up. I'm just telling you right now, Shep, I'm just telling you right now, you won't get a log truck through there. Well, right now, you won't get a look through there now. I'm out there every day. Won't happen right now. Well, you go look at it.
Well, I'd like to see y'all two come to some kind of terms and then come back to us with it, but right now,
It's dead. That's
if
what
that's
you,
the way you want it.
well, that's what you're
If there
telling
is an
me.
option.
Listen, I can count. So I understand math, pretty simple. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to argue about it, but
Mr. Atkins, I think everybody here would love to see the project. The whole point is to come solutions for everybody.
right. So how do we resolve it without,
Oh, we can't resolve it tonight.
that's
We're
right.
gonna take all the property owners to get together and come up with a solution.
Well, and this is what I'm hearing from you. Regardless of what, you don't want to give up any property to come in off of 6th Street. You want everything to come in off of US 1.
Reality is that if you're going to bring log trucks through 6th Street, I think you've destroyed the project. So I think at that point, you've destroyed it. So there's a right of way off of US 1.
There's an easement off of US one, you said. Is
There's
there- There's an easement off of US one, you said. Is
There's an
there-
easement off of US one to my property that is adjacent to Mr. Bell's. That's correct. Excuse me?
He's gonna do the road, there's already a road down Orange Street going in.
I don't know that there is a road there anymore, but I don't know that you could call it a road. I think the city would be incumbent to make the necessary repairs to establish an adequate road so that, you know, it could be traversed, but I mean, that would be up to the city to inspect and determine whether or not there's an adequate structure of a road left, but, you know, I don't know if it's, I don't know. I'm not an engineer. That's not something I can offer an opinion about, but the city would have to determine that. So,
Mr. Atkins, your project is just as important as if it was Mr. Brock or Mr. Bell coming in and asking us for a project behind it. And no more would we want to cut off access to your property to access his, would we want to cut off access to his property to benefit yours? I mean, I don't see that as a negative thing.
so is it the city's intent to develop this road?
I don't know what the city's intent is.
Well, I'd like to know as a property owner, in terms of what I will be allowed to do, because if I have to reconfigure the project with the notion that I have to maintain this road open, is it your intent to allow, it seems that way, that you'll have logging truck traffic through there, then I need to look at how to navigate this project so that I'm able to,
We don't know if we're gonna have logging trucks through there. That's their property. They decide to sell their trees or harvest their trees, and that's the only way out. There's log trucks coming through. That's the way it's been. But there's a solution to all this.
what's the solution, Lee?
Y'all two get together. He told you if you can just give him, and I don't know. Our land use administrator said that you can slide it over, then it don't affect your project and it still lets him have access to his. Both of y'all get what you're asking for.
He destroys the road on Sixth Street, then, you know, really is no purpose in me spending there's really no purpose in having, you know, a huge, the log trucks, the amount of log trucks you're gonna run through there, the way the log trucks, that Sixth Street reconstruction, it will not support the weight of the log trucks. They'll have that thing tore up in no time.
How can you go around the other streets of the town?
I don't know. I
mean, if you upgrade Sixth Street, you're gonna have to upgrade it to the standards of the other streets in town. They drive all over the streets of town.
I don't know. I'm not a log truck operator, so I don't know what the weight of the truck is, and I don't know what the standard of the road is. Is it built to 50,000 pounds? Is it built to what? I don't know what the standard of
They
the.
drive all up and down the street every day.
I'm not an engineer. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know. Can't tell you. So,
I can tell you that our roads and our specifications and our subdivision code, that when roads are put in, they have to be to DOT specifications. So roads that are put in the town are to the same specifications.
as
what's
US
put on.
one? Okay,
And they do. We're having a block of property that's just recently been logged.
okay.
Right there off
So-
of Ohio Street.
So it would support a log truck.
It's supported them for years.
Okay, that's good to know. So when did the trees come out?
1999.
When do they come out next?
They ready to come out now from what got timber now. It's just when you just ready to sell this timber. You can sell it now or you can sell it 10 years from now. It's what you want.
Okay. So I guess we all wait. I don't know. Okay.
Are there any other questions, any other comments, anything else? So I guess, Mr. Atkins, if you want to try to move forward to this, maybe reach out to the property owner, see what y'all can work out and see what the specifications are for the roads to see if they would handle a log truck, if they were going to log the problem or log the land, and just, decide what you want to do and come back to us if you want to proceed with it.
So if we were to go to a two-story structure on the remaining lots, is that something that's feasible?
Anything's feasible.
I mean, I can't stop what you do.
Anything is feasible.
I can't stop what you do with your roads.
I mean,
So, that's
if you're not
recognizable.
willing to work with them though,
They've got access.
that's your,
They've got access to their road, your road. It's your road. You can do what you want with the road. There's nothing I can do to curtail that. But
You
If-
do realize though, if we was to do what you're wanting us to do, it landlocks that
I
property.
don't want anybody landlocked.
Okay, and we don't neither, and that's exactly what it's gonna do to him if we allowed to close it.
Right. And so the slice of land that he wants is the slice of land that's the most expensive, the most desirable, and the most premium piece of the property. And I'm not sure that I'm going to be willing to give that piece of property.
And that's the
And I
place.
I do totally get that too.
Yeah.
But there's other options, just like where your right of way comes in, where your easement comes in. If that's a 60-foot easement and it can be purchased, that might be a simple thing, is to purchase that easement, make it a right of way and give him access to his property on the other side, where the easement's at on the piece that you said you bought from the Franklins. I don't know, because I don't own any of it. But if that'll give him access, that's the biggest thing. And that'll keep him from coming through the trees. That'll keep him from coming through the road. If that's a cheap enough outlet to get him where he needs to be and you where you need to be, that might be an answer. But it's probably an answer we can't get tonight because we don't
Sure.
know.
I understand. Okay. Thank
But
you.
nobody doesn't want to see your project happen. I mean, I can tell you that. It's not about that by any means.
I understand. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a motion to adjourn this workshop.
Motion.
Second.
All right, we got 5 minutes and we'll start the second